Peace, 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 peace. What's happening, y'all? I am Stacy Patrice, and welcome to the Sunday Soul Healing Satsang here at Rebuild Foundation. I am Soul Yogini SP. Thank you so much for joining today. We are going to start this Sunday off right and make sure that we get aligned. I had a different idea this month. I said I wanted to start doing themes, themes that would be relevant for us, themes that would be something that would work for our lives moving forward. And so this particular month, the month of August, feels like a really, really, really special month. I don't know how many of you all feel that way, but to me, it feels really, really special. And so what I'm looking to do for this month is to carry this theme across the entire month. And the theme of this month is pretty simple, but very, very layered. And so we're going to take it in layers. What's happening, Allison? Great day. We're going to take it in layers. We're going to allow ourselves the ability to look at our lives and let's put some action towards what it is we're looking at. Let's get some action going. Let's see how these philosophies play out in real life, how we carry them forward. And I know a lot of you are already doing that in your, day-to-day walk. But this particular conversation is about having the ability to do that with some tools. All right. So we are talking about tools, not just your spiritual toolkit, not just the tools that people tell you are tools, but cultivating those things that you're not necessarily sure are tools, allowing yourself the ability to use your resources and to bring all of those things together in order to culminate into a support system for yourself. And what spawned today's satsang was really, really simple for me. Over the past, I want to say like the past couple of weeks, but particularly the past week, I have been noticing just in my life and the life of friends and the life of people surrounding how these times really call for us to have something to hold on to, right? So there's this idea that we can in some way, uh, our faith, takes us places. What we feel takes us places. And then we have this idea that there are certain things that really are invisible supports. And I want to bring to light what some of those are. I want to be able to talk about how we can start to raise some of the supports that we have and be in a position where we're able to really just say and share that the supports that hold us are ones that are not necessarily the popular ones. They're not necessarily most talked about by people, and they're not necessarily supports that everyone has. This is the important part of this series for this month. So I'm going to start just talking about toolkits. So as we talk about toolkits, what are your toolkits? What are the things that you use? Comment in below. What are the things that you use to support yourself? And we're going to start general and then kind of stretch it out and get a little more detailed. And just for today, we'll talk a bit about this philosophy of having a toolkit, this philosophy of being central to what it is that you want to see in your life, and how that toolkit will enable you to be able to act upon what it is that you want, manifest what it is that's necessary for you as a soul, as a human, as a person, and be able to have certain things that give you that power internally without having to look for it outside. And some of you might say, why is this important right now? Well, here's the answer. This is extremely important right now to discuss, because I think a lot of us are experiencing that certain things are not within our grasp in the way that they once were. It doesn't mean that we don't have a grasp. It doesn't mean there aren't things we can grasp. It means that the things that a lot of us have relied upon and have said were our foundations, have said were the things that would keep us afloat, have said that these are the things that identify who we are and how we are. A lot of those things are starting to change shape and slipping out of our grasp. And so instead of us trying to hold on to these things, what we're being charged to do now is to let go of the grasp. Instead of squeezing and holding tight, open your hand. And so that's what we're talking about today. How do we open our hand so that we have the space to pick up something else that could work better for us as we evolve in this space? And I think it's so important to talk about today and talk about in general that there are lots of things in most of our lives that have been giving us a certain sense of security. And so we're going to play with the word security a bit too today. And I just want everyone to imagine or try on this idea of spirituality as security. We're going to just try this on. And the reason why we're going to try this on is because that's the only thing we really have to hold on to. Who we are, how we're operating is all we've got. Is all we've got. And so we are being stripped, not because we're being denied. We are being stripped because we have the opportunity to empower in a way that maybe we were fearful of doing before, maybe in a way we were challenged in doing before, maybe in a way that the larger social scheme or community wasn't with us before. So what we're doing today is really just saying, how do we empower from a genuine place? How do we empower from a place that feels like us and allows who us is to be presented into the world? And so we have to talk about those spiritual toolkits. We have to talk about our arsenal. All right, y'all ready? All right, so if you are just joining in the comments below, I'm asking any of you, each of you, to share in the comments, what are the things that you currently use to support yourself? What are the things you currently use to support yourself in your day-to-day? Now, these can be habits, they can be practices, they can be rituals, they can be things that you say that are solid and secure in your life. But what are these things? Can you drop them in the comments below? You can be as specific or as vague as is necessary to keep your privacy. But I would love for you to talk about what your supports are, mainly because your supports are going to reflect back to you, not really to me, but reflect back to you what's really holding you up and is it really true, okay? So I want you to write in the comments, what are your supports? What are the things that hold you up? And you can say these are things in your arsenal, or they could be external things that you feel hold you up, but what are the things that hold you up on a day-to-day basis? What keeps you going? I'll give an example to kind of jog the memory, jog the mind. So I think about, for those of you who've been practicing soul healing yoga with me on the south side of Chicago and around the world for the past decade, we definitely know a lot of our arsenal, a lot of our supports. We definitely know them to be movement, to be breathing, to be meditation, to be having conversations like these that are truth-telling conversations that help us all evolve and ascend on our path. But there are other things that really are not community things that we each do individually, and they vary individual to individual because the individuals are the ones that are choosing whether this works or whether it doesn't work. So what are your supports? I literally can't have this conversation without you, right? So if you could drop in the comments what your supports are. And I'll tell you what one of my major ones has been, and if you've been on the Satsangs, you probably can guess. Writing is a huge major support for me. And I don't mean writing a book, even though I am. I don't mean writing letters or writing things that other people will see or writing things to perform. I mean this deep, deep inner work that is displayed to me via paper for me to go back and look at. It's a living record of what's happening with me, what's going on with me, all of these different things. And I know a lot of times writing sounds like a very cliche thing. Oh, just sit down with your journal and just write. And maybe some people don't feel inspired. They don't want to write. They don't feel the vibe of writing. They don't feel inspired in that way, or maybe they don't feel they're a writer. And so I've talked about this a bit, but I consider writing to be a way for you to get your feelings out, a way for you to clear what's happening with you and to speak about what are the things that are going on in your mind and for you to see them. Because it's so important to see them. It's so critically important that whatever is unseen becomes seen, at least to you, right? It doesn't mean that everyone around you will understand what's happening. It may look mystical to everybody else. It doesn't mean that other people will join in with you. It doesn't mean you'll be celebrated for these things. But these things are important because they support you. And that's what we're talking about. This is an individual conversation. All the month of August, we have a lot of community conversations happening, but I really want to strengthen each person so that in each of our circles, in each of our communities, we become a stronger light. So writing is one way to do that. It is a way. It is not the way. It's not the only way. It is a way. And so I'm going to look down at some of these comments. I see prayer, meditation, exercise, music. Yes. Writing, using meditative prompts is a great practice. Wonderful. Coffee and wine. Now let's talk about these, right? So we all have a day. We all have the same day. We all craft this day knowingly or unknowingly due to our priorities or due to the things that we think or we deem are as important enough for us to look at. And so as we're crafting this day, we're looking at How do we get our work done? How do we care for ourselves? How do we care for our families? How do we get in a position to really do things that bring us joy and lift us up? How do we get in a place where we stay connected to and devotional with the things that matter to us? And so it's easy to say these practices, right? And I know I'm going to say something a little different here. I'm going to say that my practices always change. And this is kind of what I want to talk about today is like, you can get to a point where meditation is just not working for you in the way that it once was. You can get to a point where certain music or certain songs are just not working for you or moving you in the way that they were. And you can really feel like, I'm not really certain or sure that I want to listen to that thing or do that thing or have that practice anymore. But what we're really talking about here is how do you alter the things that support you so that you feel that you are growing? Because we don't want anyone to be stagnant. We don't want growth to stagnate. We want everyone to be in a position where they're starting to evolve and move forward in the things that are most important to them. So one of the best ways in which that happens is through how you support yourself as you move through. So I'll start here. We start with a vision. We have a vision and we say, you know, I have this vision of what it is that I want to do. I have this vision of how I feel about myself and what kind of life I want to lead and live. And the clearer that that vision gets, the easier it is for us to be able to see if there are other people that are distracting that vision, are helping support that vision, are living that vision, are supporters in some way inside of the vision. You know, we are able to see if it's really ours or does it belong to more people in our circle. We're able to really get a good look and a good grip at what this vision really means. And so the reason I'm saying this is because a lot of times we think of our vision as coming sometimes from nowhere or coming from something particular to us, which I think it does. But I think it also is a shared commonality that's been waiting to be expressed. If we look at our visions in the universal sense, in the universal aspect, what we're really looking at is how many people are magnetized by the same feeling, the same thought. How many people do you think are connected to the same stream of consciousness? How many people are on board and ready to go with this idea about how we can live differently? And sometimes it's not very different. It might be a different spin on what's happening. But let's think about this, like, let's think about your vision for your life. Are you surrounded by people right now who are ready to live that vision with you? Are they living the vision with you, or are you compromising your vision in parts in order to connect with the people you love and care about? This is such an important question, not because we want to isolate people or cast people out. It's because as an individual, in order to be a strong signal as an individual, you always have to stay focused. And as I like to say, stay entranced with what it is that you are aiming to do. It doesn't mean that you know all the steps and how and what day and what date. We're not talking about goals. We're talking about an intention that is deep enough to inspire action. So are your intentions deep enough to inspire action? Can you create new intentions? I know when I first started on my spiritual path many, many moons ago, affirmations was what I was taught. You got to say affirmations every day, write them down every day, do your gratitudes every day. And yes, that works. But there comes a point where your affirmations and your gratitude become your walk and your actions. So it doesn't always happen to be the same practice. As we evolve, the practices and the levels of the rituals and the practices also evolve. So if you started out saying affirmations, maybe you were trying to tell yourself you are beautiful. You're trying to tell yourself that you are powerful, that you're able to do anything you want to do. Those might have sounded false in the initial rounds of telling yourself this. As you move on through time, you really start to change chemistry and believe these things as if someone else is telling you this about yourself because they can see it. And then as that chemistry starts to change, what you really realize was actually changing is that internally you are changing shape. You are changing neurologically. You are changing emotionally. You are literally adjusting things to snap with and fit with what you choose for yourself. So that question about are other people with you, that question about how many other people are with you is so critically important, because a lot of times when we first start to go on a different path, we don't necessarily have all of the players and all of the people we would like to be with us because the signal is not strong enough yet. It doesn't mean that you're not on your way or that you're losing your mind. The signal's not strong enough yet. You're just getting it for yourself. You're just learning the nuances. You're just getting to a place where you're starting to understand what's actually happening. You're experiencing it firsthand and sharing with others how they are related to this. So when I asked the question about how is it that are the people around you on board? I see compromise down here, right? I see compromise. A lot of times that is the action, right? When we are around people or in circumstances we no longer want to be in, it's natural to feel a resistance. Whether that resistance is coming from others or whether it's coming from within, others reflect and give us a mirror for our own levels of resistance. So if we are nervous about being someone different, we'll get all the people to confirm that as true. If we are excited about being somebody new, we'll get sparks of people to reflect and confirm that that's true. What we see and what we're sensing is an outpicturing of all of the different voices that are inside. And one of the most important things that is important to acknowledge, in my opinion, is the old thought. This is when something you thought about some time ago, you put a lot of energy into it, you massaged the heck out of that intention, that idea. It didn't manifest quick enough for you because there was resistance. And so as that thought is trying to find itself in your world, you meet people who directly oppose that. And then it shakes you and it shifts you and it transforms you. And you're like, no, I'm giving that up. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm going straight for what I know. I'm going for what I know. I'm deciding to go for what it is that I envision, that what it is I'm about. And as you're moving and getting that new frequency and order, those people that were connected to that old thought will still pop up. Anybody else experience this? Because I know this is a real thing in my life. Those old thought patterns will show up as people. And those people that show up in your life will sometimes give you the option to say, hey, you put a lot of energy into this old thought. You can always go back to it. Or you can shift forward and go with what you think is best for you now. But if you wanted to do this thing at one time and you were so passionate about it, man, there's a lot of people that are just latching on to what you said 3 years ago. They're just latching on to what you said you wanted for yourself 6 moon cycles ago. They're just latching on to who you said you were going to be in 2020, even though you said it in 2016, right? And you might have already been that person in 2018, but that old thought is still active. So if we don't adjust and we don't shift, we don't get the benefit of having a new thought manifest. So I want to hear your thoughts about this below. What are the old thoughts? And we're expressing the old thoughts because a lot of times they let us know not only how far we've come, but they give us an indication of what is it that we're really searching for, aiming for, looking for, okay? I'm gonna go back to a comment that I saw. Having my journal, quality time with the self, and also time set aside for the loves and friends that can encourage and empower one another to grow. That is so darn juicy right here in 2020. I mean, it's always been juicy for me, but that is such a more juicy statement at this period in time. And I think it's because a lot of people really slept on connection. They really didn't get what that was. They didn't have a true understanding of how important it is to have each other, how important it is to have people by your side. We had gotten so accustomed, I would say, to moving on and through people not agreeing with us that we forgot to highlight and put a check mark next to people really being one with us. And so now we're finally getting a glimpse of what it's like to have people be one with us. And we're also getting a glimpse of what it looks like with that resistance again, right? So we have to get to this point. I always say loving louder gets us to a point where we're able to broadcast a stronger signal. That stronger signal will definitely pull in people into your circle and pull you into circles where you feel like you belong. It's such an important thing. Belonging is such an important thing. And the reason it's important is not because we need validatory circles. It's important because when we're trying to do things in the world, you always need people around you and surrounding you that are like bumpers, right? They help to like bounce you back when you're going off course, right? You've decided for yourself what you want and how you want to be. And there are people who are definitely not only responsible, but so much more invested is the word I'm looking for, and making sure that you get to develop your vision on your terms. Y'all, this is like one of the most important things right now. And it's important because all of us have something we're extremely passionate about and something we want to do and something we think is worthy. And in order to really release that and unleash that, we need those bumpers sometimes. And if you don't have the bumpers, here's the catch with that. The absence of the bumpers, the absence of the support and the people who could really help you get there is the idea that you have to experience what you're trying to provide. This is so key. You have to experience what you're trying to provide. So for instance, there are people who read books and try and share and teach what's in those books, get degrees and study and teach and share and perform in the world and what's in those books. But when we're talking about a soul mission, when we're talking about a deep-rooted intention, when we're talking about something that is important to you, I'm not just talking about our job. Yes, please, by all means, get all the degrees and all of the things that you need to be prepared for what it is you want to do. But when we're talking about that deep soul intention that may inform what you want to do, that may inform which industry you're part of, that may inform whether you're an entrepreneur, work for somebody else, decide to be an artist or otherwise, that deep soul intention definitely needs your experience. And this is the very first and important part of building our toolkit and our arsenal. Do we have the experience? And by experience, I'm not talking about what other people say is required for the job. I'm talking about what you say you need in order to step fully and strongly into that seat to carry that mission on the chariot that is you. What do you have to experience that will allow you to ride out with this mission? What do you have to experience? Because sometimes choosing an experience is way safer than allowing the universe to deliver experience to you. Because the way that this soul work works is that you're going to get on the path where you're going to experience what you put the most energy to. You're going to experience it. So it's like making sure that that bucket is really full of what you want to experience. Don't spend so much time thinking about things you don't want to experience. Don't spend so much time on those fears. Don't spend so much time on the what ifs and the how comes. Realize that there is something at play. There is a huge matrix of ideas and information and possibilities and agendas at play. And when we start to play into that, we move away from the intention. And when you start to move away from the intention, you get to the place that you realize, hey, I'm not on the chariot. I'm not on the chariot. I have gotten off the chariot. The horse is waiting on me, and I'm standing on the sidelines having a real mundane conversation. That's not it. Stay on the chariot. So how do we stay on the chariot? We need an arsenal. We need spiritual tools. We need the toolkit that never stops giving. We need to be able to cultivate these things that support us. So today's conversation is about spiritual tools. It is about our arsenal or our spiritual toolkit. We don't have to call it a spiritual toolkit. I don't want to get into all of that, but I will give you a metaphor because I love metaphors. So let's talk about something very basic I'm sure everybody can understand. You have a hammer. You have a toolbox. There's not a whole lot in it because you're not really handy, right? You're not that handy person. Or maybe you got some nails and a hammer, some stuff in there that people say you're supposed to have when you get your own first house. You know, tools you'll need. You got a power drill. You got a couple of things in there that you're like, okay, I think I should be straight if anything happens, right? And then you move into this house and you have this hammer and you're looking at the hammer and it's shiny. It's one of the best hammers on the market, right? You have this hammer, you have your nails, you have your tools, but you're not hanging any paintings. You're not fixing anything. Nothing's broken inside your house. There's nothing that needs fixing. Everything is well maintained. So then the next question becomes, why do I still, carry these tools as important when they're not something I need? And then we always go here, just in case I need it one day, right? As if there's going to be something that will happen that won't allow you to go to the store and get it if you need it, just in case I need it one day. So what we're discovering at this point in our lives right now is we have valued the hammer, the power drill, the nails, the nuts, the bolts, the wrenches, the screws, all of these really handy, hardcore rogue tools, right? But what we haven't paid attention to is we needed to be gardening. We needed to know how to plant. We needed to know how to cultivate land. We needed to know the value of community and joining people together around what we're most passionate about. We really needed the ability to say, you know what, I never thought I would need to know how to dig a tunnel if there's a flood, or how to drain water, or all these things that we've had people for years not only tell us what's not up to us, not only tell us they're experts who can do it. These things that we've not really put our highest level of intel into are now the things that are cropping up. They are now the things that are saying, hey, pay attention to this. And I think spirituality is one of those. So we need new spiritual tools. The hammer may not work anymore. We need tools that will really support us where we are right now. So I want to start by talking about a few of those tools. I wrote some ideas down. Y'all know I did. And I want to start by talking about a few of those tools. So if we're looking at the season, the cycle, the political climate, as well as, where we are in proximity to where it is we'd like to be, that will start to tell us what kind of tools we need to pick up and what kind of tools we need to add to our toolkit. So let's say you're in a position right now where you don't really like, you think you're done with who you've been and how you've been and how things have happened. And you're ready to move to a new space, but that space feels so far away. You see people operating in that space, or maybe you see no one operating in that space. You may even see people operating in that space, and they have a method of how to operate in that space. And something about it doesn't resonate with you. And you really just want to move forward and just get over to that space. The experience is the bridge. So your experience into that space is the first spiritual tool. Experience is the first spiritual tool. There have been sayings that you don't have to experience everything to be good at it. You don't have to experience everything to know it. This is true. Before your mission, your purpose, and getting on that chariot, you cannot arrive at a destination on a chariot if you never get on. You can never do it, right? So that experience is one of the most important spiritual tools. What do you need to experience? I want you all to drop in your comments what it is that you are seeing yourself in the future looking at, right? So what is between you and where you see yourself is where the bridge will go. So we won't talk about the bridge right now, but drop in the comments, where is that destination for you? Where is that destination for you? Because we can start to assimilate some tools that will start to speak to how to cross that bridge, and how maybe some of you might have to build the bridge, right? You may not be in a position where you can just see a paved bridge and cross over. It may be a huge body of water between you and where you want to be, metaphorically speaking. There may be a gravel and a dirt road between you and where you want to be, metaphorically speaking. So what we're talking about is how to either build or cross that bridge to the other side. What are the things that you see over there that may be close or may be far? This is not about a judgment, but the things you see over there that you're walking towards, heading towards, and see as a part of your vision. Please drop that in the comments. I'll share with you all something that happened with me as it relates to this concept. So travel has been my greatest form of transformation. It's one of the ways in which I start to move through my understandings of who I am in the world, and start to experience firsthand how that is not only received by other people, but how I receive other people when I'm in a place that is not comfortable, when I'm in a place that is not constant, and I start to change the environment and switch things up occasionally. The reason I'm bringing this up is because one of my favorite places to travel is Bali. It's one of my other homes, or I should say it's my home in a sense. It's one of my favorite places to be because who I experience in myself when I am in that part of the world is very, very, very high vibration. It really lifts me up to where I see myself. It matches how I see myself. And so what I always have to do when I'm there is bring some of that home back here to Chicago and share it, because it's an experience that I've traveled through. It's something that I've gotten, I've understood. It doesn't mean I get it all. It means that I have decided that this particular level of understanding I have been officially indoctrinated and initiated into. And as I am moving through this level, I am understanding that my experiences are changing and transforming everything that I knew about myself in a different environment. And that is so critically important, because when you move, there's always a reason and a cause for movement. We can't really judge why a person needs to move the way they move, when they move, and with who they move. We have to think about that there's something bigger at play and at work for that movement. So when you feel the urge to just, you got that freedom jaunt, you want to get away, you feel the urge to just start to move, never question that. Only start to explore it to the level of your ability of understanding of it. Start to explore, start to go and move. And so last year I took a group of 12. There was a group of 12 of us who went to Bali for my retreat, Embody Soul. And we're coming up on a year of when we were all getting ready to leave and to go. And that was such a miraculous experience because I was able to set out the foundation for what I had experienced with others who wanted to go and experience the same. So, so beautiful. We connected with expats and different people in Bali, and we brought it together and brought a whole entire lived experience for people to understand. What I'm saying to you is there is something in your heart and in your experience and in your life and in your vision that is this important to you. It doesn't mean it's the only thing you'll do the rest of your life. It means it's something you're inspired to do right now. And as you get inspired to do that, what are the things that need to change to support that? It's okay if you drop off something that's stagnant. It's okay if you stop talking to people with the same frequency that you had. It's okay if you decide to go a different course because something is more moving you now and you want to follow that flow and that rhythm. It's okay to have an empowered mind and say, you know, I did this for these reasons. And I'm deciding now that those reasons don't hold the same mass. They don't hold the same importance with me as they used to. So again, instead of holding on to what's trying to leave me, I'm going to open my hand and let it go. And as you begin to do that, what you will start to see is that your environment literally changes. It's like traveling. The people change. The way you move, the way you dress, the way you look, the way you talk, the way you speak, who shows up in your life, it starts changing. It becomes this beautiful, like meditative tapestry of change. And as you're transforming, you start to understand that there are things you did for certain reasons. And if those reasons are no longer with you, then those habits and those actions can no longer be with you because they are no longer serving. It's okay at a point to identify with struggle if that was your life. If that was your life, if your life was struggle, then it was okay to identify with that for that time because that's what got you through. That was what helped you to understand how hard you had to work to get out of the situation that you never want to see again. But then once you are out of the situation that you never want to see again, you don't denounce the struggle. You know that that's integrated in who you are. And then that lets you know that you're strong enough to move into a new space and with a new tool that will allow you to do new things, right? Sometimes we don't let go of things quick enough. We hold on to them too long. We got a full moon tomorrow that is going to really catapult us into a new way. And it's definitely going to take our humanitarian futuristic visions to the next level. And so when we think about these things, these are big times to let go. Sync up with nature's cycles. I've been doing moon cycles for a long time. I used to host a workshop called Luminous Life Cycles here in Chicago to help people acclimate themselves with the teachings and the changings of the cycles through the seasons with the moon. And I think it's really important to recognize that these things that you do are for you. They're not for everybody else to agree. They're not for everybody else to champion you right now. They will champion you later. Trust me. You don't believe me? Ask Beyonce, right? So, you know, it's one of those things that allows you to recognize that there are people who get hated at certain points of their life because they're shaping things differently. They're shaking up things. They're changing things, and people aren't comfortable with that. And then there are people who will champion you at a point once you've arrived because they couldn't see what you were doing or they didn't want you to win. They didn't want you to excel. So when you get to the point that you do, they believe now that they should validate what you did. They want to tell you now how proud of you they are and how much your walk has inspired them. But we asked ourselves, where were these people when we were going through that challenge? And the only answer I have was, it wasn't for them to walk with you. It wasn't for them to validate you too early because perhaps you might not have kept going. It wasn't for them to sit with you and hold your hand and coddle you because you may not have kept going. Sometimes the fire, the transformative fire that we feel is what it is that allows us to keep going and push through in ways that other people say, I don't know where you mustered that strength from. It depends on how we're set up, right? So for me, one of the biggest things, and I want to share this as a spiritual tool because a friend shared it with me and I saw it so clearly in my life as it was happening. There was a time I was very, very fiery, right? And some of you all may relate with this or know this about me. There was a time I was super, 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 super fiery, right? And that fiery nature is innate. It is within me. But that doesn't always mean it's in balance, right? So we have to speak the truth about ourselves. You can be fiery and be out of balance. You can be watery and be out of balance. Any of us have the opportunity to be exactly who we are and be out of balance. It doesn't mean you get rid of the fire. It doesn't mean you get rid of the emotion. It doesn't mean you get rid of the fact checking and the sternness with how things have to be. It means you learn to balance them. You learn for those things to work together, for them to be integrated. So I think about this. A friend of mine said, you move from the fire path to the water path. And it was interesting because we were doing an elemental healing lesson in Bali, and I was really associating myself with the water. I'm also a water sign for those of you that are astrologically inclined. I'm a Pisces. So that water energy is definitely with me, right? But it was me recognizing that I was a Pisces and I was on the fire path before. So it's not like, oh, I'm a Pisces, this makes me that, or I'm this makes me that. We still have to get it in check and get in balance. So was I in my true nature then in terms of how I thought I was moving and what was good for me at that time? Yes. And that's what we all have to do to where we've been and who we've been. Now, in order to cross that bridge, you have to check and see if that particular aspect of your nature is going to carry you to the places you need to go. Is it a tool to pick up or put down? Do you leave it in the kit, or do you buy new tools, or do you hold it in your hand because you're ready? Right? And so this is what we're talking about. And so if you move, for instance, from a very fiery nature into a very watery nature, does that mean you turn soft? Absolutely not, because you still have your fire. Does that mean that you're somebody who doesn't get things done, you have no action? No, it might mean that your action is only in the flow. That if something comes out of flow, if it catches you off guard, that may be a signal to you in your new nature that that's not where you're supposed to be, that that's not the symbol for you. Or it is a symbol telling you that what is appearing is not for you. So this is about really making sure that you're in balance. So one of the spiritual tools that I want to share with you, and I have a couple, I don't know if I'm gonna get through all of them, but I'll just kind of rattle a couple of them off. Delight in knowing that you are. That's the simplest way I can say it. Delight in knowing that you are. That you are, that you are, that you are. Delight in knowing that. How can you delight in knowing that you are if you're not sure what you are or who you are? And this is where you start to get into what you need. What do you need to know what you are and who you are? What is the experience that will challenge you? A lot of times we get caught up in challenges and we say, oh, that's too much. I don't know if I can handle that. But if it's calling you, if it's summoning you and it's showing you and it's calling you by name, trust that you can. Know that you are. You don't have to know if you're going to have an embarrassing moment, if you're going to fail, if you're going to piss people off. You don't have to know that. You have to know that you have the strongest intention to be somewhere and this particular challenge is showing up to you. And you have to know deep, deep, deep in that you are capable of handling this challenge. So how does that look in everyday life? It looks like, I can't believe my job let me go. I can't believe they fired me today. What am I going to do now? I can't believe that this experience is happening to me. And then you remember, I really never wanted to work this job. This was supposed to be temporary. I was supposed to be out of here in a year and a half I gave myself. I was supposed to have achieved these other things so that I could leave my job. I was supposed to actually move. I don't want to live in the city and the state. Wow. These other things start happening. And so as these other things begin, the question for you is, are you being obedient and devoted to what it is that is best for you? And I want some of you all to share what you feel is the challenge that's speaking to you in this time. I don't mean 5-6 months ago. I mean right now. I mean, we are in August, a month of big action, a harvest. This is the month of the inner work coming outside. In this month, what is the challenge that you are most critically faced with that kind of consumes a lot of space on your hard drive every day? What is that challenge? Put in the comments. And in the meantime, I'm gonna go back and see what you all share, because you all have been talking while I have been talking, and I love it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so I see here, spiritual initiation. Yes, spiritual initiation level. Absolutely. So I want to go to Bali, my top 10. Yes. So what can you do today to start to look at how to make that possible? It doesn't mean you're setting up a trip to go. It means you're getting in the rhythm and the alignment of being there. That's the bridge. The experience is the bridge. Again, when we think about what's on the other side of the bridge, it's often something that we think will bring us something. It'll give us something. It'll afford us something. It'll allow something. What we're not understanding is that the bridge is what we are looking for. The bridge, it's the bridge. The bridge helps us get to the other side, but the other side is only fulfilled when you cross the bridge. And the bridge is the thing that we most need to pay attention to, because that is the experience that will make it worth it when you get to the other side, or determine if there's another side to get to. It's the bridge, y'all. If you look at this in terms of birth and death, life is the bridge. Is it about death? No, but you know you're going to be there. Is it about birth? No, because most of us don't remember it. It's about the bridge. What's the meat in the center? How does that shape and form our experience? That's what we're looking at in anything. We're looking at the bridge. Watching shows that discuss different animals in the world and how they contribute to the ecosystem, and how I was unaware of how these animals impact the planet. Yeah, so I like to talk about nature as a way of attuning and aligning with our own nature. A lot of times people look at animals because animals are great metaphors of what happens when you have a living being that doesn't have the kind of brain that can talk and think like we do, because we all collectively realize our thoughts a lot of times are in the way. Our thoughts a lot of times are not on our side. They are actually opposing us and sometimes resisting our most irresistible self. So a lot of times when we think about nature and what's happening in nature with animals, we start to get this idea of the beauty and the bounty and the abundance that already exists and is moving in perfect harmony, as I'm watching all these birds go past my window, moving in perfect harmony. And as we start to realize we don't even know all about nature. How in the world do we think we know so much about humans? It could be nothing but the mind that would put us there. It could be nothing but this altered state of consciousness that we know, our egos and our minds know. But have we experienced what we say? Have we experienced what we talk about as fact? Or are we just talking about as fact because we've seen it with others and others told us? Have we experienced it? So being in nature is a beautiful, beautiful spiritual tool to add to your arsenal, especially right now where nature is blooming and blossoming with less people having contributed to its demise in the last several months. Nature is beautiful, getting out, taking a walk, being able to really take in the sights, the sounds, and the feels. It changes your vibration. So nature is beautiful. Even if you're watching it on TV, it's beautiful to be able to understand something else that takes your mind off of what humans do all the time, right? Experiences are motivating me right now to engage in good trouble. Yes, John Lewis, rest in peace, good trouble, right? So this idea of, knowing that this is also talking about the experience. We have to experience it. A lot of us are wearing armor and shield to avoid the experience. Why are we trying to avoid the experience? That's what we came here for, right? So we on this planet to experience things, yes? So we have to get to the place where we say, okay, what experience am I willing to take on? What experience won't I resist? This doesn't mean you have to jump out of a helicopter and bungee jump and skydive, even those things are great. You don't have to put yourself in danger and be risky to have an experience. You just have to risk your previous belief systems. You just have to risk what you thought this world was like. You just have to risk that maybe you weren't fully aware or conscious of something that you've been resisting. You have to resist the idea that there isn't more. Like, resist that. If you're gonna resist anything, say, okay, I know there's more. I haven't seen it, I haven't experienced it. Let me get into it. Let me get into it, because it's so important to do that. It might mean you're a geyser. I love that comment. I saw when you put that up. Yes, water can be powerful. Water doesn't have to be passive and like a pond. Like, water can destroy the earth as well. So y'all just pay attention to the things that we believe. Pay attention to, how we regard ourselves and the kind of toxic ideas that we keep up about definitions and division and what things are and what things are not. You can be anything you want to be and make it powerful. And you can be as soft and as gentle and as feminine, as well as strong and as capable, and still be powerful, right? So here are the ideas. Am I going to be homeless? Cannot get hired with living salary. I do not have degree from college and it's an obstacle. Okay, so here we go. This is a beautiful segue. Here we go. What I'm hearing to share right now is this. If you're not able to have something, step back a step and see what is it that you're really trying to have, right? So if I say, I'm not sure if I'm going to be homeless, and that's an idea that I have because of evidence, right? It's a real idea. It doesn't mean that, you pull this out of nowhere. It might mean that evidence is showing you that I'm not sure if I'll be able to continue. I'm not sure if I'll be able to move forward. If that's an idea that's being had, then ask yourself, what is it that you're trying to hold on to in that situation? Okay, the obvious idea, a home, a place to live, a roof over my head, right? So then the idea is is what I've been doing even sustainable? That if I try and hold on to it, that it will not be sustainable a couple of months from now once I get on my feet, or it won't bring me the kind of peace and satisfaction and joy that I need once I am able to do what I think I'm supposed to do. Some of us, and I am going to say this with the utmost amount of love, some of us are very conditioned into independence towards our detriment. We do believe that the way that things look is the way that things are. The way that things look is kind of like how we should subscribe to live. It's other people's definitions of success. There are ways to make home wherever you are. There are ways to thrive. I have had students who have picked up and gone to new homes. They couldn't find work here. It just was a closed hole for them. And I mean, I'm talking about many, many, many students and clients that they were in a place where they were just like, I can't get work. I don't know what's going on. Other people seem to be getting jobs. Other people seem to have success. I can't get it. And what they realized is that they were defining their success by a particular location on the map. They were saying, I have to be here. And there was nothing that said that that was true. They needed to look in other places. They were resistant to moving because they were like, oh no, that's going to be too much. It's too expensive. I don't know anybody. But that was the experience they needed to have. And I'm not talking about homelessness. I'm talking about they found a job somewhere else that they never would have imagined would have been a haven for them. And they are extremely happy in their new place. It was like the universe gave a little nudge and said, your time's up here. I know you're going to keep trying because you're so determined, and we are wonderfully happy that you are, but your time is up here. And you get pushed out of that comfort zone into a new space. Also, a lot of times when it's issues around work, it's also, should you be working for somebody? It's also, should you be working for somebody? Is there the possibility that you can create income that you're sitting right on top of and you haven't thought about creating? Is there something you should be sharing that you're too insecure or quiet about sharing that the entire world could live from and you would get joy from? Is there something else? And I'm not just saying this to this comment, I'm saying this to anyone. A lot of times when we get pushed and backed into a corner and we have fears about what it is, we need to do one of two things. Spiritual tool number one, we need to get quiet and still and listen. We need to get quiet and still and listen, because getting quiet and still and listening will give us the information that we couldn't possibly think of. It's like we get a download about what's really going on. We get clear, right? Spiritual tool number two is, what am I missing? Is there something that's right in front of me that's so obvious that I'm not paying attention to? And that is why I keep being in the situation. Because the vibration of fear, the vibration of being scared, which is very natural for most of us, does not propel us into the next spot unless we take action, unless we take inventory, unless we begin to look around and say, what else is there than this? What else is there than this thing that scares the hell out of me? What else is there other than this condition that I can't seem to get past and get around? What else is there other than people telling me no? What else is there other than me feeling inadequate when I share my voice? What else is there? Y'all gonna have me shed a tear on this live. What else is there, right? We have to be able to get into the rhythm of what else is there, because I promise you, if we keep envisioning the same thing, we're going to keep getting the same result. A lot of times, and this is why I do the work that I do, what else is there is loving yourself on a different Mickey Ficky level. Loving yourself on a different level is like the ultimate upgrade and promotion. Loving yourself on a different level, being real honest with yourself about what you're really mad about, what you're really upset with, who has wronged you, not making them at fault, but giving yourself the ability to begin to heal from that is often the ultimate upgrade. And so when we talk about spiritual tools, we're not just talking about the condition. We're saying, well, what do I need to do to give myself more self-love? What are the things I need to do every day? Every day, it could be something as simple as, I work a hard job, I stand on my feet, I will massage my feet lovingly with rich oil from 6 different continents at the end of my day. I will buy that so that when I stand on my feet, I feel strong, regal, and proud. Y'all, these are simple things, but they're going to be specific to you. They're not just self-care items to check off. They have a spiritual energy imbued inside of them. They're not just what somebody would tell you to do, or you're supposed to get a massage. You're supposed to get your nails done every week. What if that doesn't move you? What if that doesn't move you? What if it's really, I need a place where I can imagine and retreat. I need to retreat. And you can't go on a vacation. How do you create a retreat right where you are? That is my current spiritual tool. It is retreating where I am because I'm a traveler, because I love traveling. How do I retreat where I am? And so for me, retreating where I am means getting into something that I've been talking about for years and starting to see it come to life piece by piece every day. And more on that coming up soon, y'all. I can't say when because it's developing, but working on something that I've been thinking about for years and allowing myself to get into all the nuances and play, play with it. Don't look at your work. And I've been preached to about this so many times. I can't help but to share with you all. Play is a beautiful spiritual tool. It changes your energy and it changes the way that you are understanding the world. The more you play, the more you start to see things happening as a game. The more you start to see them as a game, the more you start to move the things around to try and see if you can reconfigure them a different way and get a different outcome. The more you start to reconfigure things and get a different outcome, the more you step past your fears and start having wins and gains on your own terms. So play is such a beautiful spiritual tool that can help push you past the things that you would not have walked through on your own before. And I say play because play is that joyfulness. You don't have to think about your inner child. You just allow joy to arise within you. Allow joy to arise within you. Don't tell it what to do. Don't think of how it should look. Allow it to arise within you. Whatever comes up that makes you go, wow, spend more time there. Whatever makes you stare at it where you can't look away, spend more time there. Whatever makes you do research like a crazy person for 8 hours a day, spend more time there. Whatever it is you do for free when you talk to people, connect with people, build with people, the way you beautify things, spend more time there. The way you explore, spend more time there. Play is such a huge tool. And so what you will do is you will start taking out things on your schedule that look like, make sure you do this, make sure you do that, make sure you do this, make sure you do that, and put on your schedule, play, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. Put play on your schedule. If you intend to have play every day, you don't have to tell the universe what it looks like. It's going to show up. The opportunity for play will always show up. It might mean you pulling your car on the side of the road, as I did, and taking pictures of rainbows because you are so majestically enthralled by the fact that you're driving through a double rainbow. And then you just decide to take all angles of it because you know it's going to disappear, and not everyone drove on this angle and saw this rainbow. And so you share that rainbow when you're done, and people go, wow, I remember I saw one here, and I remember this, and the most beautiful rainbow I've ever seen. And it starts to create something. We need more whimsy in our lives. We got enough reality. We need more whimsy. We need more of the feelings of abundance and buoyance and the ability to be in rhythm with everything that feels majestic and like our birthright. We need more of that. So who's going to take the weight? Who's going to start installing that into our lives? Who's going to start? Is it you? Who's going to start? Who's going to start to say, you know what? Starting tomorrow, because it's the beginning of a new week and because it's a full moon, starting tomorrow, I am going to give myself the ability to give myself an hour and a half of my day to play. And I will not feel guilt about it. I will not explain it to anybody. I will not compromise it. I will not interrupt it for real life responsible things. I will treat play like an assignment, and I will make sure that I get in the rhythm of expansion to do it daily. This is so important. This is one of my favorite spiritual tools. So having my retreat where I am looks like putting things around me that I can dig into and get really, really, really intimate with, and feel that nice juiciness of experience. All experiences don't have to rock your world in a bad way. Some of them will rock your world because they are changing the way you understood yourself in your life. And so this month, as we move through this conversation of spiritual tools, it won't always be naming the tools. You all will be speaking more through the next 4 sessions because I want that, not only for me, but for you. I want to engage with what's happening in your lives and let us all get there together. But I want you to really focus on you this month because there are big surprises and things that are awaiting you that cannot have access to you if you keep cluttering your space with old thoughts, feelings, ideas, and keep holding your hand where nothing else can get in. Put that tool down, pick this tool up. It's time to switch tools. It's time to say, you know what? If my meditations are boring and I'm meditating for an hour and a half and I'm still cursing people out, it's probably not strong enough for where I am right now. It's not that you don't know what you're doing. It's not that you need a master or guru to teach you. It's that that particular tool is not working for you where you are right now. You have to meet yourself where you are. Don't try and meet yourself in your new life and you haven't crossed the bridge yet. Meet yourself where you are right now. That is the most loving thing you can do, is to meet yourself where you are right now and say, you know what? I see these weeds over here. I'm gonna pull those up. I see these dead spots in the grass right here. I'm gonna nourish them with water. I see this tree that just isn't getting any love, that's bearing its fruit. I'm gonna see what I can do with some of this fruit and take it in my kitchen and see what I can create and what I can make. I see this part of my heart that feels so shut down and closed down. I'm gonna see how many ways I can lighten my load this month. I'm gonna look for tools that help heal my heart. I'm gonna look for things that help me unplug and use my hands, because hand chakras are a real thing. I'm gonna use my hands. I'm gonna dig in dirt. I'm gonna make jewelry. I'm gonna design something. I'm gonna draw something. I'm gonna paint something. And I'm not gonna judge myself about whether it looks like everybody else's. I don't even see everybody else's art this month. I only see what I can create, and I only appreciate what comes in my path because it helps me appreciate. So as we start to move on this journey, again, it's this conversation 1 of 5. Meet yourself where you are right now. Give yourself the ability to love in a deeper, louder way. Don't let anybody take you off that schedule. Don't trade what works for you for what other people are doing and what other people are paying attention to. And start to cultivate an inner circle in your daily schedule that says, if these are the 6 or 8 or 10 things I say I need to do, I need to have at least 3 of these be something I love doing. Or I need to change my philosophy of love about the things I am committed to doing. I need to play more when I'm working and let people think I'm not serious if they want, but I get business handled. I need to explore more. I need to do meetings outside on a walk instead of sitting at a desk or on a Zoom. I need to ask whoever I'm talking to put on a mask and let's go walk outside if that's what we need to do. But I need to be able to experience every day something that gets me into nature, something that allows me to play, something that helps me feel good and have a retreat from my screen, something that allows me to feel really, really empowered and treat my body really well, something that starts to heal something that I'm now aware of is not healthy. And let me start tweaking these things. I don't have to start 15 things at once, just a few things. And then challenge yourself, because you may have crossed a hurdle the first week of August. As you go into the second week of August, now what are the things you need to do in the second week of August? Are they the same supports as the first week of August? Or are these spiritual tools a different set because you finished some things using those new spiritual tools and you keep a couple that you know you need more work and practice with? The whole point of the spiritual tool, and I definitely want to make this point before I get off, the entire point of the spiritual tool is that it starts as a tool, it becomes a regular practice, and then it is fully integrated into how you move. That's the entire point. It's not to just be able to check off and say, okay, I did that today. Okay, now I know how to do it. It is to integrate into your experience so you can roll out, right? Get on that chariot and roll out. It's to integrate into that experience. And so the only way that can happen is, first you got to identify the tool. Then you got to pick it up, make a concerted effort to utilize it. And then as you start to utilize it, you won't even have to think about it. It will slowly start to integrate into your life. You will do it naturally.